Hello, stamping friends. Welcome to another card in the November 2014 online card class. In the online card class, you will get the materials needed to create this cute card. And also when you're in the club, you receive a PDF of instructions that gives you the list of supplies and the instructions to complete the card. This video merely helps you with that visual. I'm such a visual learner. The stamp set that you needed to purchase for this class was the Festival of Trees. Now this is, we're not going to be making Christmas cards with this series. However, you could. So once you have this stamp set, then you can easily make some Christmas cards this season. You also got the Christmas tree punch, and that's going to make putting these cards together really quick. You could use any of the sentiment stamps, but for this one I'm using For You, and I'm using the thank you in there. You can use any embossing folder, and I did use the stripes one, or the diagonal stripes one for the card, but again you can use any embossing folder that you have. So these, let me tell you what you're going to get in this card kit. You will get the Whisper White base. You'll get a So Saffron square and then a Soft Sky square. And then you also get your envelopes in the card kits. You will have some scratch paper to do your stamping with. And speaking of stamping, as you're stamping these, make sure that your ink pads are well inked. I have moved to a more drier climate, and I'm finding that I'm really using my re-inkers a lot. So if you don't have any re-inkers, you may need to start getting those because your stamp pads will dry out. So this is going to be a two-step stamping process, and we're going to be using the tree, and then we're also going to be using the little dots. If you can see those are going to be our decorations for these cards, or this card rather. And I'm going to go ahead and just use that block right there. All right, so we're going to ink up with the Pear Pizzazz, and just going to stamp it on our scratch paper. I do need 3 trees, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp 3 of them. And I learned something. I've always known I'm a very heavy-handed stamper. However, I learned that I can't be a heavy-handed stamper with this stamp set because this next layer, these little dots, let me just show you what I did, if you can see it on the camera. I always love to share my boo-boos because I figure if I make the mistake, you might make it too. So can you see the extra ink? There's no cute little dots, but there's extra ink on this one, okay? And this one I kind of did it too. So I hope you can see that on the camera. So when you're stamping this next part, so the first one, and I always like to start with the lighter colors of ink whenever I'm using ink pads. So I'm going to use the So Saffron, and hopefully you can see this. So I'm just going to stamp and lift up. Okay, so what you should see are little dots, not blobs. Okay, so just be really gentle on your stamping with this stamp set. All right, the next one, I'm using the Wisteria ink. Now these inks, we told you up front what inks we were using for the project this month. If you don't have these 3 colors, just pick 3 that you have. And the Calypso Coral. Very nice. I'm so glad that I practiced ahead of time before I made this video because I didn't want to do the blobby thing in front of you like I did when I was stamping. So the next thing I'm going to do is use the little container, and I'm inking that up in crumb cake, and I need 3 of those. So go ahead and stamp those. Okay, all right. So then we're going to take our punch, and you open up the punch with this little lever. Make sure that the lever is all the way up, or when you're punching it might catch on you. So I'm going to punch these out. All right, now The sad part is that there's not a punch for the little baskets. So guess what? Snips, you have to cut them out. The good news is they're little, they don't take much. So there you have it. Okay, so I always like to use dimensionals on my cards, and I'm going to go ahead and add those. Dimensionals to me gives your card some life and personality. Okay, it's not just a flat card, although sometimes a flat card is good. And we're going to use dimensionals on the back of our baskets. Okay, so now we're ready to assemble our card. We're going to go ahead and use some snail on the So Saffron layer. I'm going to place that right there. Okay, now anytime I use textured cardstock, I always like to use a liquid glue such as our multi-purpose Tombow glue. That glue gets down in the grooves where we want them. It doesn't take much. I know it looks like I'm putting a lot. Oh, and by the way, when you're storing your glue, put it in a container so that the tip is down. That way it's ready when you are to make your next card. All right, now you could put dimensionals under this as well, but remember your card has to go in the mail. So if you have too many layers, sometimes the post office charges you more. So that's always kind of a bummer. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, dig my nails in, get these backings off, and place mine right here. Next tree. And you want to offset it a little bit. Kind of looks like a little topiary forest going on here. I think you're going to find that this card is very simple and easy to duplicate and make more of. So that one, I just kind of tucked it under that piece right there, and then it's overlapping there. Then we need our containers. Put them on. There. Now we're ready to stamp our sentiment. Again, I'm using the thank you, and I'm using the crumb cake. Just gonna stamp straight down and lift straight up. And there you have it. Very fast and easy. Come back for the next card.